Hey everyone, just checking in with this little episode of This Is Not What I Meant. It's kind of like a rant or just, an initial reaction to the series that I'm watching. And yeah, obviously, a happy new year, a very happy new year to people who are listening this in time for it to be a normal greeting. Like if you listen to this the week that this episode is released, so it'll be like normal. Okay, happy new year. If you're listening to 6 months in the future and be like, New Year nikal chuka hai, so. But anyway, I've done this once before actually, or This Is Not What I Meant, when I started watching Attack on Titan. So I watched the first couple of episodes, and then I thought, I need to talk about this. Like an initial reaction, right? So this episode, I am talking about Tokyo Revengers. So I started this show last night and I watched one episode. And again, there's a plane flying over my head. Like not literally over my head, but my building I live nearby where planes sound very loud. But yes, I watched Tokyo Revengers and I need to get this out of my system. And so here I am with a bonus episode called Tokyo Revengers. What was that? And you're listening to This Is Not What I Meant. And I'm your host Anudeep Badyal. And we're going to talk about it. Okay, so the show starts with this guy who is kind of a loser. Like he's giving you loser vibes. And his name is Takemichi. And Takemichi is the kind of guy who's doing odd jobs and he's not good at any of them. He's incompetent. He's apologizing to people and being like, I'm sorry that I'm bad at my job. He's an adult and, the scene opens with his room being all over the place. He's watching news and he finds out that someone from his middle school died in an altercation between gangs. And he sees that and he realizes that this person was actually his girlfriend, like then girlfriend. And then he makes a point that, okay, that was the only time I dated somebody. And, I only had a girlfriend in middle school. And he keeps saying that. So you know that he peaked in middle school and now his life is nowhere. And that's why he keeps remembering that time. And this may sound very lame, but the thing is that Takemichi is very self-aware, and that was one of the highlights for this character. I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking about, because even he says is middle school the time that I peaked? Probably that's the only time that I peaked in my life, because I was kind of in a cool gang and then I had a girlfriend. And after that, something went wrong. But this part that, something went wrong is so deep inside him that he doesn't recognize what it was. He doesn't remember what it was. And only when, somebody pushes him, on the train tracks, somebody pushes him and he's about to die. And I'm like, this is the first episode. They're setting up this protagonist and this person is going to die right now. That's so awesome. I love that. I love when it happens. When the lead character is kind of like, okay, this person is gonna die. I'm like, ooh, okay. Kuch excited. Kuch hone wala hai badhiya sa. I sound like a psychopath. But yeah, that is fine. I guess that is fine to sound like a psychopath on your podcast. But okay, so this person is gonna die. Takemichi is gonna die. Somebody pushes him on the subway and he's right in front of the train. And then you think that his life is passing by him, passing in front of his eyes, and he remembers that girl. And he's also narrating this guy is also narrating okay, maybe this, the time when I was going to die, I thought about this girl that had passed a few days ago, my middle school girlfriend. And it's kind of okay. I mean, the things are happening. It's nothing new has happened as for an anime plot. So I'm waiting, I'm watching this, okay. And we're transported back to his middle school, and he's probably thinking that, maybe these are just memories, but they feel so real. And later on, he realizes that this is not memory. He's actually back in his middle school body. So, ooh, time leap, right? This is where the show gets interesting, I think. Obviously, this is where the show gets interesting. But I think I like the fact that he was self-aware. I like self-aware anime characters, and they're so awesome. Even Yuji Itatori in Jujutsu Kaisen is kind of like that. So, yep, he's transported back to the middle school. And then slowly, the memory freshens up. His memory freshens up in the sense that he remembers what happened in middle school from where his life, went down. And he went on this path where he became so demure and so, what would you say, like so desperate and so lonely and, with a confidence that is so broken. All of these character motivations or demotivations are revealed in that scene. And this is just the first episode. It's not even over yet. And then, he realizes that, he was being bullied. He actually forgot that he was being bullied. And it's such a great concept in terms of the fact that in your adult life, you probably don't remember if you were bullied because you hide those memories way back into your mind. Like only if you go for therapy, the therapist could get all of these memories out of your head. Like, why are you so demotivated? And you're like, probably I feel that way because of some facial reason. But they could cherry pick your childhood memories and be like, okay, you remember that day back in 2005 or something, and this person did this to you, and like, oh, uska effect ab jaake mere pe pad raha hai. So kind of they set up this plot very nicely about that, about bullying as a kid, getting bullied as a kid, yeah. And I think that was the point that they set up on the show, and that is very nicely portrayed. And then he realizes that, okay, these are the guys who are going to kill my friend in the future. He also meets the girl, and then he meets the girl's brother. I think the point I have to say here is that when he meets the girl, it's kind of beautiful because he knows that she's going to die sometime in the future, and yet he gets to revisit her again. Just after, for him, she has just died. It has only been a couple of days. But since he's back in his middle school body, 12 years into the past, she thinks that, it's the present time for them. And it's kind of like, when you know what the person has been through, what's going on in their mind, the scene has such a beautiful subtext, and it's awesome. And I like that exchange a lot. And then I'm kind of like, okay, what's going to happen next? And then he meets the girl's brother. And then I think that was the lamest thing that they could have done, because he meets the girl's brother and he's like, acha, to apni behan ka dhyan rakhna, protect your sister, that she's going to die in the future. You are also going to die in future. So, protect her at this date. He gives him an omen. And then he touches his hand and he's back. He's back into the future, where he was, his present actually. And he's back there, and he realizes, okay, probably, I touched this guy's hand and I'm back, and I probably have changed the course of the present. Kind of like action replay. And so he meets the guy, and coincidentally, it's the same person, or the girlfriend's brother. And he meets him, and they both realize that, okay, Takemichi probably has this ability to time jump from present to 12 years back on the same date. And they establish that very normally. They don't even freak out about it. They're just like, acha, you can time jump probably, and this is my theory, and hum aise karke usko bacha lenge. And you're like, you should be more excited about this or more curious about your powers, but they're so serious, and they're like, हाँ ये सब चलता ही होगा दुनिया में. Even if they acknowledge that, how is it happening, they don't really show that sense of wonder. So that was kind of off about the show, but I'm like, okay, they want to move the plot ahead, I guess. But they could have like worked more upon that, like thoda aur us pe kaam karte, because in the next episode he time jumps again, like back like 12 years into the past, and I'm like, कुछ भी time spend नहीं किया upon the power, how does it work, finding more people like that, normal shit that when people do when they find out they have a power, but he didn't do anything about that. So that was kind of weird. But yeah, that was the first episode of Tokyo Revengers, and I enjoyed a lot. And one thing that I have to note is that Takemichi's voice actor, like his voice is very distinctive. Like I haven't heard this voice in another anime. I haven't heard that, because normally guys have like, how should I explain this? Like they usually have like the same kind of voice actors for the actors for the characters, but Takemichi has a different voice, and that stood out a lot. Like I haven't heard this voice before, so probably I'll search more about that, like where is this guy from and where have I heard him before, like in another anime. And yeah, that was it for Tokyo Revengers. I am excited to see the whole show because this plot is very nice and they've set up the characters well, and there is violence in it, there are middle schoolers in it, and like they have handled the concepts well, and I'm looking forward to more concepts that they bring up. And yeah, I think I rambled a lot. This was completely unscripted, so like if I made any mistakes, I'll be fine with that. But yeah, this was like a small check-in, like, okay, how you guys doing? Get back to me and talk to me about what all anime you've watched, what all TV shows you want me to, cover on my show, and if you want to be on the podcast, There's also this option on Spotify to actually rate the podcast. Like they're like, "Acha, tumhe acha laga sun ke, to you can give me 5 stars." Like that's cool. That's cool. You can also contact me on Instagram. I have a bad cold. Yep. You can also contact me on Instagram. My handle is thisisnotwhatImeant. @thisisnotwhatImeant. And yeah, that was it. I had a lot of fun. I'm not gonna edit this. I'm just gonna post. Yep. Because bonus episodes are kind of like that. I did not edit the Attack on Titan one as well. I'm using a call mic right now and I'm recording this on my phone. And yeah, that's how it is on This Is Not What I Meant. First podcast of the year on Tokyo Revengers. What was that? So I'll watch the rest of the show and I'll get back to you with the review if you want. And if you've seen Tokyo Revengers and you want to discuss it with me, I'll be very glad to do that. Okay, so I'll take my leave and thank you for listening.